Thank you, Arnaud, for being the presenter before me because it's a nice segue into what I'll be talking about, which is achieving success on big projects with a co-facilitator. Oh, let me just get in presentation mode. So as I was introduced, I have my first level of certification. I am a VMA, Value Methodology Associate. I have passed my class with Arnaud, actually. So we are both from the same cohort. This was my first year as a board member of Value Analysis Canada. I'm also a partner at Martin Parot. Some of you will know the main partner, Lucy Parot, and I've been co-facilitating workshops since 2015. So my presentation today on achieving success on big projects with a co-facilitator is pretty straightforward. I will be talking about what I see as a big project, how I define a big project, and what is the primary role of a co-facilitator during workshops on big projects. I'll talk about the skills that are expected from a co-facilitator and their know-how. There will be definitely some overlap with what you're expecting from a facilitator, but some skills are more highlighted when you're the co-facilitator. And then this primary role gets subdivided into different roles, whether you're working before the workshop, during the workshop, and after the workshop. And that will bring us to the concluding remarks. So what do I define as a big project? This is my own definition. It's anything that requires a large VE study team. So are we talking, we could be talking about a project that is a large scale project. So you require, there's going to be the client, there's going to be a large design team, there's going to be some subject matter experts. So something that is large scale, whether because of the project itself or because, perhaps it's specific knowledge that is required. Another thing that defines a big project is the budget. Are you working on something that's, $500,000, which is still big for any of us, or are you working on something that is worth many billions of dollars? Of course, if a project is over budget, that can be seen as a big project because there are big things that need to be looked at. A project that has high stakes because it's a political, it's got a lot of political aspects to it. It's a political issue that makes it a big project because the stakes are high. And something where you only have a short timeline to deliver, or whether it's the project itself or the VE study, if you've got to do it in a short timeline, it makes it all of a sudden a big project. So the primary role may seem very simple and straightforward because what you're trying to do as a co-facilitator is to help and support the facilitator. So what I mean by that is the more critical the situation, the more demanding the facilitator must be of the participants. So they'll be very involved engaging with the participants. So your role of help and supporting the facilitator is that much more important. One of the facilitator's roles is to ensure that all VA team members feel they are truly part of a team. When you're working on a big project, sometimes you are working with in today's project, a lot of the projects are virtual. So you'll have perhaps the client in one city, you'll have the main designer on another continent. And for the first time in this project, everyone is coming together. So perhaps the cohesiveness of the team is not there. Maybe the VE study was requested because you're over budget and this is, the political optics are there. This project has been ongoing for perhaps years and years. You want to make sure that the facilitator is really engaged in making sure the team feels like the team members feel like they're part of the team. So your support role is that much very, very important. So some of the mostly soft skills and the know-how to achieve success on big projects as a co-facilitator, you want to make sure you're organized. Your support role will really be valued if you are bringing your organization skills. You're not trying to make it more stressful for the facilitator. You're trying to remove that stress. So be organized. Another obvious one, especially in today's world, is to be tech savvy. A big role you'll be playing in these workshops will be taking notes. So you want to know how to type fast, and you want to know the IT tools in case there are any issues with the software you're using. So the facilitator doesn't have to be the one who starts using their brain power to fix the IT. You're the one who's going to jump on board and do that. The next two go hand in hand, being a good listener and writing. When you're working with big teams, there'll be lots of people talking and lots of ideas springing. So you want to make sure you're listening properly because you're going to be writing down those ideas. So it's important to know how to synthesize the information you're hearing while staying faithful to the words that are being used by the participants. The next two also are a pair, being efficient and being proactive. A lot of the time you'll see the co-facilitator be more in the background since your role is more to help and support. But if you notice something important, don't wait till the facilitator notices it. Bring it up to their attention. Be proactive if you see an issue. This brings us to the last point, but not the least one. Have top-notch communication with the facilitator. This will ensure really that your workshop is running smoothly. You guys are really connected and the communication is flowing so that you're both on board and always making sure that the goal is being met, the goal of conducting a productive workshop. So I've noticed I was attending yesterday and this morning, the other talks, none of us have really talked about the 6 phases of the job plan. Like no one really laid it out. But that's the value methodology is a systematic job plan. So to achieve success on big projects, there will be different parts before the workshop. So basically the preparation phase and the information phase. An obvious one is to prepare with the facilitator. You want to help out with the logistics. So if you are traveling for a workshop, you can help with figuring out where you're going to be and making sure the rooms are reserved. You want to help out with the information gathering. Right away, you're not just jumping in during the workshop, not having done your homework. You want to make sure all the information is, you are aware of it, you've gone through it so that you really know your subject. Some things the facilitator will do on their own, perhaps determining the project scope with the client or selecting the team and the participants, but please make sure that you are involved in the collecting the project data and the documentation. And as I was saying, if you're doing this virtually, you want to organize a collaborative platform if that's what you're using. So you want to be present and participate in everything in the preparation phase and the information phase to make sure that during the workshop, everything goes well. And to achieve success on big projects with a co-facilitator, there's three main things that happen during a workshop that the facilitator and the co-facilitator, their main goals are. So one of them is managing the team. The other main one is implementing the methodology. And then all this is being driven because you want to maximize the benefits to the clients. So I have points under each of these. To manage the team, you want to follow the timing. Beforehand in the preparation phase, the facilitator will have prepared an agenda, and they might be so focused on hands-on facilitating the workshop that they'll lose track of time. So that's something you can easily pick up as a co-facilitator. Another big one is being sensitive to group dynamics. I just wanted to mention the phases also when you're in the workshop. What you're doing is the function analysis phase, the creativity phase, the evaluation phase, and I have included the development on this slide, but developing the ideas is something perhaps that will happen after the workshop. So to come back to being sensitive to group dynamics, when you're in large groups, the facilitator is really engaging to get the participants, being productive. Your role is to make sure that the group dynamics are good, and you want to be aware if there's any group pathology being exposed, because team morale is an indicator of the success of the value study. So if you're picking up on some hints that the team is not doing well, you want to make sure you communicate that with the facilitator, who might not be as aware because perhaps they're more focused on a conversation going on. The main thing that goes on during a value methodology workshop is you're implementing the methodology, the systematic job plan. And your first role as a co-facilitator will be to take notes. That's when your skills as a good listener and your writing skills come into play. You want to write down everything that is being said, and this will be the bulk of the following of the workshop and the job plan. I also put following the agenda, which is not just making sure you're sticking to the time, but make sure everything you planned out is getting done. Sometimes when you're in the action, you have to allow for flexibility, yes, but you want to also make sure that what you had decided before gets done, because when you're thinking about it and preparing an agenda, there's lots of good reasons why you would prepare certain tools and techniques to be used during the workshop. The next one, supporting those who write the value improvement proposals. That's more for the development phase. In my experience, after the workshop, the creativity and the evaluation phase is done, the homework gets distributed to the team members, and they write their value improvement proposals before getting back together at a ulterior date. So some of them on the team will have been exposed to value analysis for the first time, and they might need help with making sure they're writing the value improvement proposal properly. So remain available, especially if there's a lot of new ideas that came out of the workshop. And implementing the methodology means that if necessary, you have to be able to replace the facilitator. For whatever reason, if the facilitator can't make it, well, at least the team can still move forward with the value analysis program that was set, because you'll be there as a backup. As I was saying, this is all driven to maximize the benefits to the client. So what you want to do, even though you have a supportive role and perhaps you're trying to be more discreet during the workshop, well, it's important to ask questions in various ways. So let's say you're trying to write down and everyone's being, spitting out ideas. Well, you don't want to miss anything, and you want to make sure that if you do miss something, you say it. Ask the question. Well, oh, what was that? What was that? What were we talking about here? Because if you're staying quiet and not voicing it when something is going wrong on your end, then you're not maximizing the benefits of the client. And the last point, to maximize the benefits of the client, well, you want to help out with calculations. And I wrote estimates, but it could be with really helping with anything. If you can help out with making the fast diagram. You can help out with allocating the resources to each function. Anything you can help out with, do it, if it's estimates or other types of calculations. After the workshop, you want to keep that same momentum. It's not the time to drop the ball. You're trying to achieve success on a big project. So once again, to get back to that organization skill, that workshop may have taken place over many days, so you have many pages of notes. You want to gather everything. You want to help in preparing the preliminary report, so that it's not just on the facilitator to do that. The value improvement proposals that the team members are working on, since you might be helping some of them, it's good to follow up on them to make sure that they are being done, that the homework is being worked on. Then when you get all the value improvement proposals back, you finalize your preliminary report, send it out to team members to get their input. allow a little bit of time, make sure you're following up on the comments for the preliminary report. Once all the comments are in, you want to help out with the final report. And since these, after the workshop, the presentation phase and the implementation phase is what we're talking about, it's great if the team is prepared for a presentation, because that will ensure that all the work you've done before the workshop and during the workshop leads to something. You're trying to find a way to improve whatever project you're working on. So don't just let all that work stop there and the report. Help out with the presentation. This will help the team get through to the decision makers. So this brings me to the final point. I hope I've made it clear how a co-facilitator is an essential role in achieving success on big projects. Like I said, it was very straightforward. You're helping out with some tasks, but by helping out with the tasks, you're really supporting the facilitator and you're supporting the team members. So you're really helping to achieve success. What kind of benefits are we getting from such a method? Well, of course, the facilitation will be improved. So if you've got an improved facilitation, you're going to yield better results. And that was always the goal of facilitating a VA workshop, because you're looking for even better results. And I'll leave you on the last point that I made here, is that it's a sustainable solution. Sometimes when you're working on a big project where the stakes are high, the budget is huge, you got a short timeline, perhaps your client is not very inclined to have not just one facilitator, but two. Why are we paying for two? You know, we're already not that into doing this workshop. Well, if you're showing that the workshop went really well and the results are stunning, then you're showing that, yes, this is a solution that is sustainable. And in another direction, the sustainable, the definition, when you look it up, mentions how it benefits future generations. So it's a sustainable solution in the sense that often co-facilitators are more junior. They perhaps don't do this full time. Perhaps it's their first time experiencing a value analysis workshop. So you're creating, it's like a new energy bringing in a co-facilitator, and it brings this new energy can bring excitement. And I know those of you who, some of you who are attending have been in the domain for a long time. And there's something about like being part of a project as a facilitator or a co-facilitator that really gets you excited and really makes you fall for this methodology. So it's a sustainable solution for methodology in the future to bring in a co-facilitator, because then you're exposing people, whether the co-facilitator or the team members, to this amazing methodology that yields great results. So in the future, everyone will keep benefiting the value methodology. So that was my presentation. I hope you've learned something and that I've convinced you that bringing a co-facilitator on board on big projects is totally worth it.